All right, time is 7 o'clock. Very good evening to one and all present. Once again, on behalf of MTC Global family, I extend a hearty welcome to all the participants for the day two session. Ma'am has already joined and she is with us. I request Monika ma'am to kindly please take over the session. Thank you so much.
Good evening, sir, and everyone. Thank you so much. Yeah. Hello, participants. How are you all? Good. I tried to share the case study yesterday, but it was not being uploaded. I tried to compress the PDF file also. So today I have shared the link in the chat box in the group. But if you want, I'll share it here also. And you can go through the case study and you can discuss later, maybe at the end. Right? So let us start with today's session. So as we know that there are 6 parts of this entire curriculum, and we are covering part 1 we have covered yesterday, and third we are doing today. So what we will discuss today, let us explore. As we know that through this course, we will be able to explore core principles, best practices, and potential pitfalls to ensure your research adheres to the highest ethical standards. So let us begin by understanding the concept of publication ethics. So let us go through the scenario 1 as we had been doing yesterday. Yes. A PhD scholar in India receives an email from a publisher offering rapid publication of their management research in an international journal with minimal editorial review. This is most likely a sign of a reputable and efficient publication process, a predatory publisher attempting to exploit the scholar, a new and innovative open access journal, and a legitimate journal with a streamlined review process. So students, according to you, what should be the right answer?
Good evening, ma'am. I feel B.
Good evening. Which one?
B, option B.
Option B. Okay. Anyone else? Yes, please. Ma'am said option B. Others also, please tell me. Yes, ma'am, you are right. This is option B.
Yes, ma'am.
So this is how we need to gain clarity on understanding of the concepts. The more interest you take, the more clarity you will get. Okay. So let us move on to a caselet on data fabrication in India. So a researcher in India published a paper in a management journal with groundbreaking findings on a new leadership model. Later, an investigation revealed the data used in the study was fabricated. The retraction of the paper caused significant damage to the researcher's reputation and highlighted the importance of data integrity. So the questions are, I hope the case is clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So the questions are, what are the ethical implications of data fabrication in academic research, and how can it erode public trust in research institutions? And the second, how can academic institutions and journals strengthen their processes to prevent data fabrication and ensure research integrity? Yes, please share your views. Ethical implications? Yes, please. Try to respond, because as we know, this is all related to ethics. There is a difference between being legal and being ethical. So our focus is on ethics part. Okay.
Ma'am, I feel it can like tarnish the credibility of the research.
Right.
And then it could also have some impact on privacy and confidentiality, and like maintaining data integrity and accuracy is a very important part, and it could cause some harm also, it can have some ill effects if not done properly.
Very right, ma'am.
Thank you,
You
ma'am.
are on the right track. So data fabrication undermines the
Ma'am,
foundation of, yes, please.
the the fabricating data actually violates the trust, okay, of the
Yes,
scientific research which is conducted, and it also undermines the pursuit of trust. Actually, what happened that when the data is fabricated, we are somewhere the scholars are compromising with the ethical principles like honesty, integrity, and authenticity in scientific research. And moreover, it deviates the entire purpose of doing the research, leads to misleading scientific community, madam.
very right, ma'am. Both of you are correct. So let me sum up. Data fabrication undermines the foundation of scientific inquiry, leading to the misleading conclusions and hindering progress. It breaches the trust between researchers, institutions, and the public, compromising the credibility of research findings. The consequences can include loss of funding, damage to reputation, and legal repercussions. Yes. And second, how can academic institutions and journals strengthen their processes to prevent data fabrication and ensure research integrity? Yes, please.
Maybe by implying strict rules or
Okay. What else?
checking the plagiarism.
Right. So one is strengthening rules. Second is checking plagiarism. What else? One very popular term these days, that is
Uh,
OA. Yes, Palvi ma'am.
okay. The On part of the researcher, they should take extra care to ensure that the data and the research which they are doing is totally correct. But even if some fraud is being suspected, or some falsification has been done, or any kind of fabrication has been done, the universities or the institutions must try to bring some policies where transparency is there, and all the data research or the analysis and conclusions which are brought to the table must be honestly presented.
Right,
So
ma'am.
by taking various kinds of progress presentation, half yearly presentation, they can ask that what is their progress. So if they find that the scholars are progressing very fast, okay, so there can be some kind of check can be done. So how the analysis, data collection analysis has been done so fast, so that can stop the misrepresentation of results.
Right, ma'am. Right.
And ma'am, I also feel that transparency and openness should be encouraged, and maybe they can use data audits and verification. Maybe implementing a rigorous peer review could help up.
Okay. So implementing rigorous data management and sharing practices, encourage encouraging open science and data transparency, then providing mandatory ethics training for researchers, that is why we are here, then strengthening peer review processes and adopting advanced plagiarism detection tools, as sir has mentioned, and establishing clear guidelines and penalties for misconduct. So these are some of the suggestive measures that can be taken. Okay. So you see, one case study can lead to different analysis, and we can club because we all have different thought processes. So this is the table of contents for this session of today. So we have been covering this, the first part, that is publication ethics, but we will discuss in detail again. Yes. So table of contents, the first is publication ethics, wherein we will discuss definition, introduction, and importance. Then best practices, the odd standards, setting initiatives and guidelines such as COPE, WAME. The case study I have shared is of COPE. in the WhatsApp group and in the chat window also. Then conflicts of interest, then publication misconduct, wherein we will focus our discussion on definition, concepts, problems that lead to unethical behavior and vice versa, and types. Then violation of publication ethics, authorship and contributorship, and then identification of publication misconduct, complaints and appeals, and predatory publishers and journals. So let us start with publication ethics. So what are publication ethics? So publication ethics encompass a framework of values that govern the entire research publication process. They ensure that the research we conduct and publish is trustworthy, as we have tried to see through the caselet and the scenario. And it should be reliable and contributes genuinely in the field of management. Ethical practices maintain the integrity of research and foster public trust in academic scholarship. So now see another scenario. The UGC, that is University Grants Commission of India, has established a list of quality journals to guide researchers. This initiative highlights the importance of publication ethics because it helps to reduce the workload of reviewers, promote publishing research in high quality journals, increase the number of publications from Indian scholars, and limit the freedom of researchers to choose publication venues. According to you, what
I
could be
feel
the
Ma'am,
that we
option B.
to
Option
promote
B.
publishing
option
research in
B?
high quality journals.
Yes, option
Yes.
B.
Okay, so you are right. This is option B. Now, stakeholders in publication ethics. I hope this we all know. So, publication ethics involve a collective responsibility shared by various stakeholders. First, the researchers, we people, are responsible for conducting their research with integrity and adhering to ethical authorship practices. Editors manage the publication process, ensuring fairness and upholding quality standards. Reviewers provide unbiased feedback, shaping the quality of published research. Publishers ensure the integrity of the journals they manage and avoid unethical practices. So I hope this is clear to all.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let us see a caselet. Unethical authorship in India. So a prominent professor in India was removed from the authorship of a paper published in a top management journal. Co-authors accused the professor of excluding their significant contributions in the research, to the research. This case highlights the importance of clear communication, collaboration, and adherence to established authorship guidelines. So the questions are, what are the potential consequences for the professor, the co-authors, and the institution involved in this case of unethical authorship? The first part. Anyone? So see, this is related to stakeholders. Yes, please. So we are going to discuss three major stakeholders: professors, co-authors, and institution. Yes, please. What are the potential consequences? Let me show the case again.
Ma'am, first, I think it could be a damage to the reputation of the professor and the co-author because they are involved in the unethical practice. Not unethical, but yes, because one is accusing the other. And
Right.
maybe there could be some academic and professional consequences, like he may not become the guide for further. And then he could be like not given the sanctions or detractions or whatever he was getting as a grant, maybe for further research. It can also erode the trust, and legal action could also be taken, I feel.
Right. What about institutions?
Mm,
Okay. Anyone else would like to try? Yes. So, as Ma'am Agarwal suggested, for professors, loss of reputation, then potential termination of employment, then retraction of the paper, and damage to career and legal issues. For co-authors, potential damage to reputation, loss of trust from collaborators, and difficulty in publishing future research. And for institution, damage to institution's reputation, loss of credibility, potential legal issues, and financial implications. Now, the next question: how can academic institutions and professional bodies in India foster a culture of ethical authorship and research integrity? Yes. So we are moving from being general to being specific or technical. Yes, please. Second question. Just think and respond. So, implement clear and comprehensive authorship guidelines, provide mandatory research ethics and authorship training for faculty, students, and staff, establish robust mechanisms for reporting and investigating cases of misconduct, then promote open communication and collaboration among researchers, then enforce strict penalties for violations of research integrity, and foster a culture of transparency and accountability. Now, another scenario: a management researcher in India is concerned about plagiarism. Which of the following is the most appropriate course of action? Submit the research paper to multiple journals simultaneously. Ignore the concern as plagiarism is uncommon in India. Report the suspected plagiarist to the relevant authorities. Or publicly criticize the suspected plagiarizer on social media. Yes, please. What should be the most appropriate course of?
I think it was the third one.
Which one?
Third one, C.
C. Okay,
C.
right.
ma'am,
So,
C
register
option. C.
C option. Okay.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Others also should try. Yes, ma'am and sir, both are right. We should report the suspected plag to the relevant authorities, maybe supervisor or university or ethics committee. Very right. Okay. Now let us move further. Key concepts. So this is the time to discuss the key concepts. Yes. As we know, authorship refers to who deserves the credit for a publication. Clear and fair authorship guidelines ensure all contributors receive appropriate recognition for their intellectual work. Peer review. The peer review process involves independent evaluation of research by experts in the field. This process helps identify strengths, weaknesses, and potential flaws in research before publication. Then conflicts of interest. These arise when a researcher's personal or financial ties could bias their research findings. Transparent disclosure of conflicts allows editors and reviewers to assess potential bias. Then research misconduct, including fabrication, falsification, and plagiarism, are several ethical violations that undermine the research enterprise. It is essential to conduct research with integrity and adhere to established ethical guidelines. So, the questions arise. Should we take up one by one or we few? What criteria should be used to determine authorship of a research on a research paper? Yes, please. According to you, what should be the criteria? Yes, please. So basically, it is substantial contribution to the conception, design, data acquisition, analysis, or interpretation. Then drafting or revising the manuscript critically. Then approval of the final version, and then accountability for the content. Second, how can researchers ensure the quality and fairness of the peer review process? Anyone? Okay. Transparent review process, clear reviewer guidelines, multiple independent reviewers, conflict of interest management, and open access to peer reviews. Third, how can researchers identify and manage potential conflicts of interest? Okay. Disclosure of potential conflicts, independent review of research protocols, avoiding situations with significant conflicts, and implementing conflict of interest policies. The last, what are the different types of research misconduct and what are the consequences? So, what are major three types?
Ma'am, इसमें we can talk about plagiarism, misconduct. That
Right.
plagiarism may come, so that can be one point.
And we
Very-
talked about fabrication as well, ma'am, that day.
Yes. And the third?
Falsification, madam.
Falsification.
Very right, very right. So basically three types: fabrication, falsification, and plagiarism,
Plagiarism.
FFP. So you can make some abbreviation so that you can recall for yourself. And what could be the consequences? As we have discussed earlier, loss of reputation or job, funding, legal action, retraction of papers, and damage to scientific integrity. Okay. Now the next, predatory publishing. So what are predatory journals?
Which has low quality, basically. The predatory journals. I guess
Okay,
the cloned one.
cloned ones, right. So the rise of predatory publishing poses a significant threat to ethical research practices. These journals often target inexperienced researchers with false promises of quick publication and charge high fees. It is essential to carefully evaluate journals before submitting work, considering their reputation, peer review process, and editorial board. So these are major points that you need to take care of before putting up your paper for publication. Okay, now the questions. What are the characteristics of predatory journals? What are the characteristics of predatory journals? I have discussed with you what about this. These are
They
predatory
will ask for
journals.
money for the predatory journals, generally higher money, and within 1 or 2 days they accept it. Their quality, I mean, they don't even check the papers. What I think, ma'am.
Right, right. So basically, the major points covered here are that these are profit driven. Primary goal is to make money and not to promote research. Second, questionable reputation, that is lack of credibility and recognition in the academic community. Aggressive solicitation, that is spam like emails urging authors to submit articles. Lack of indexing, that is not listed in reputable databases. Then vague or broad scope, that covers a wide range of unrelated topics. Then fast publication, that promises quick turnaround without rigorous review. You might have seen the name of the journal may be related to some specialized branch of sciences or anything like nanotechnology or law related or something, and they are mentioning, or maybe related to medical aspects, and they mention in the description that multidisciplinary, you can send papers related to various
Yes.
disciplines. How it can be possible? Then high publication fees often demands expensive article processing charges, and the abbreviation most popular is APC. Be careful
Yes.
for APC. Then poor quality control, no or minimal peer review, grammatical errors, and formatting issues. Now the next question,
Ma'am,
how can
more few,
researchers, yes, please,
yes, ma'am, more few points to add on this.
yes,
Like this predatory journal, they also have the fake impact factor numbers. They
yes,
also use the improper ISSN numbers, and many a time they list the academic member in the editorial board without their permission, madam.
yes, even
So
that,
they are appointing fake academics to editorial
yes,
board.
they may not even be aware of, even if someone is
Yes,
using
yes,
my
madam.
name and I am not aware of where my name is being used, right? I think this is what Palvi ma'am is trying to mention.
Yes, exactly, madam.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for value addition. This is something I look forward from all of you. Be active, be participative, make your sessions interesting. It is a both way process. Okay. Now, the second question, how can researchers identify and avoid predatory journals?
Ma'am,
First,
for this, there is Savitri by Phule University. We can create our login on that
right.
because I have done that. Because creating that, you can find many of the clone journals which are
So, are
predatory in
you?
nature. So, huh.
Yes, please. Please continue, Ruchika ma'am.
Yeah, so when you create the login, you get many multidisciplinary or computer science. You get this particular field on which you can see the exact and the qualitative one. Predatory journals list would also be there. You can check that as well there. And by creating your own login on Savitri by Phule University, you will only get the correct one, the qualitative and the correct one, not the cloned one on your login ID. All those journals would be mentioned there, so you can choose from there. That's the that I've learned from one of the FDP only.
Yes. So, I hope all of you are aware of this, or should I share the link?
Ma'am, please share the link.
Should I share the link?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
go through this website whenever you have any confusion. Uh, this UGC Care by University of Pune, Savitribai Phule University, you can always check. There are two categories, UGC Care 1 and UGC Care 2. Care 2 comprises of all the Scopus and Web of Science journals, right? So please go through
Yes,
this,
ma'am.
because and they keep on updating their website frequently. So whenever, and also they have on their homepage itself, they have the list of clone journals also. So
Right.
please keep on checking, and there are very minor, changes in the name which you may ignore.
Mhm,
Like suppose the name of the journal, the website is IJERT, and they will add S to it, which you may ignore.
mhm.
So these minor changes may lead to falsification, right? So be careful, go through the website. Another is Scopus or Elsevier website, but or Web of Science, but these will be only for category 2. For both categories, you can go through this link.
And
Okay.
can we use, like, I'm very much new to all this. As
Yes.
far as I have done my study, so can we use resources like the Director of Open Access Journals or Committee of Publication Ethics? I think I have gone through these. Are they the trusted list to go through to
Yes.
check the journal's reputation?
These are also the trusted ones, but you see, what I am trying to say is that
Mhm.
they keep on changing updating the list frequently. There is no fixed time period, like
Mhm,
in which month they will update the journal list. Suppose I come across any fake journal and I inform UGC, so
mhm.
they will immediately revise the list. They will inquire, they will get the details, and they'll update the list. So it
Okay.
is always advisable to go through this link only.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. I hope others will agree to me.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. So, what researchers should do is they should check journal reputation, verify indexing in reputable databases like Scopus, Web of Science, I just mentioned. Second, investigate publisher. Research the publisher's credibility and track record. Like there is a journal, test journal, what happened is the publisher expired long back, but someone hacked the website, added simple as I was saying, from singular to plural, and they are befooling the researchers. So another link that you can go through to find the journal link is SciMago, SCIMAGO, right? Okay. Be wary of unsolicited emails. Avoid responding to suspicious offers. The most tempting is less time and minor payment. Assess journal website. Look for professional design, clear information, and contact details. Consider publication fees. High APC without justification are a red flag. Read sample articles. Yes, this is also important. Go through few articles of the journal and assess the quality. Evaluate article quality, language, and formatting. Then utilize resources, that is, consult with librarians or experienced researchers. Then trust your instincts. If something seems too good to be true, it probably is. Right? Okay.
Ma'am, excuse me,
Yes,
which
please.
one did you just, you mentioned one name, SCI, which at the
MAGO.
MAGO. Okay, thank you,
Right.
ma'am.
Yeah. Because if you go through the chat given at the end, people are discussing and mentioning the links of the fake journals also. Suppose I am looking for one particular journal, and if you go through the chat on SciMago, one thing is you will find the link of the actual link of the real journal website. Plus in chat you can find if it is a predatory or cloned, people must have mentioned it and they have emailed to the authorities, like please clarify which is the correct one and all. So it is, please double check. So to conclude, building a culture of research integrity, what we can mention here in the first topic is publication ethics encompass a shared responsibility among researchers, editors, reviewers, and publishers. By understanding and adhering to these principles, we can ensure high quality research that contributes meaningfully to advancing knowledge in the management. So let us work together to build a research environment grounded in integrity, transparency, and trust. Another scenario, why is upholding publication ethics important for PhD scholars in India? It ensures their research gets published quickly. It allows them to bypass peer review processes. It establishes their credibility and contributes to the integrity of research in India. And it guarantees them to a high paying research position after graduation.
Option C,
Option
ma'am. It
C,
establishes
madam.
the credibility.
Option C. Okay, wonderful. So I really appreciate you are participating and you are getting the things, and most of the answers are correct. So this reflects your interest. Okay. So certain questions. What are some ways to promote a culture of research integrity within your research group and institution? Yes. What we can do? Anything? Like clear guidelines and training, open communication about research ethics and challenges. Then
Yes, ma'am.
mentoring and role modeling means you can go approach your experienced researchers, like you have been attending various workshops as you just mentioned. Then independent reviews.
Yes.
Review here means peer review processes and independent research integrity offices. Then data management, and then reward integrity means recognize and reward researchers who demonstrate exemplary research integrity. The second question, how can we as future management scholars contribute to responsible research practices? Yes, what we can do?
Ma'am, again in the first question, as you said, we can guide them, we can guide the scholars to follow the ethics of the publication. Whenever they should check the plagiarism, they should always take the reference from wherever they are taking the information. They should always refer that in their references. And
Okay. So basically, the most important is deepen knowledge. We need to go through, we need to acquire a strong foundation in research ethics and methodologies. Then we need to develop critical thinking skills to question research findings and identify potential bias. Then collaboration, that is foster interdisciplinary collaboration to address complex research challenges ethically. Then transparency, advocacy, and lifelong learning. Now the
Ma'am,
second part,
particularly, I
yes,
want to add here, like
yes,
in my university, there is a publication incentives which are given to
right,
the scholars and which are given to the faculty as well. So if we are
right,
publishing article in Scopus, so
yes,
a good amount of money, like 15,000 or something like that, for the first, second, it is categorized, and we are
yes,
getting that amount. So it is
yes,
actually motivating us to publish the paper in a quality index journal. And
right,
in that way, like in many of the universities, there are board of management and academic council kind of meetings are there, where there is a consolidated list of the publications are to be mentioned by every department. So there we have to produce the information, like what kind of publications we have made, how many presentations we have done, and the citation of each faculties. So in that way, the university is keeping a very close eye on the academic like the quality which we are increasing.
right.
And the university is also motivating in terms of giving the incentives and rewarding the scholars and the faculties who are presenting the papers in a better way.
Yes, yes. Moreover, they have been investing lots of time and data collection and other practices. Then using of softwares also involves investment sometimes.
Yes, madam.
And this
And
is basically
ma'am,
monitoring.
one thing more. What
Yes,
I personally feel, that those scholars who are new to this activity, like writing papers, there must be
yes,
some committee of research in the universities where the faculties who are very experienced or they are having a very good publications, they can actually guide and they can help as how to move ahead in this process. So
yes,
this is one thing can be done, and frequent FDPs can be conducted, and the expert sessions from the different faculties and universities can be invited, madam.
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Like in our organization, we have a special cell that is DRC, Department of Research Committee, and they have dedicated research faculty for research work only, and they are guiding GRFs and SRFs and others, executive professionals who are pursuing doctorate. And
Yes, ma'am.
they have also been organizing these FDPs and other aspects frequently. So this should be a practice that should be adopted all over. Yes. So best practices or standards, that is setting initiatives and guidelines of COPE, COPE, WAME, etc. So what we can discuss here is, yes, let us discuss this scenario to understand. You are a PhD scholar in management at a university in India. You are about to submit your research paper for publication in a journal. While reviewing the author guidelines, you notice a clause stating that the copyright of the published article will be transferred to the journal. You are unsure if this is a standard practice. So, according to the best practices in research publication ethics, who typically owns the copyright of a research article published in a journal? The author, the publisher, the funding agency, or it depends on the specific journal policy. According to you, what should be the right option?
It should be A, I think.
A,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Or
but authors are
Ma'am,
always
I
asked
think,
to transfer the copyright.
ma'am, I think
Sorry, ma'am.
option D is correct.
Yes, this is option D. It is depending on the journal and its policy. Right. Now, importance of best practices and ethical standards. So, best practices and ethical standards are the cornerstones of credible and reliable research publication. By adhering to these principles, we ensure the accuracy and trustworthiness of research findings. Transparency allows the scrutiny and replication, fostering accountability within the research process. Objectivity minimizes bias and ensures conclusions are based on sound evidence. Reproducibility allows for further validation and strengthens the foundation of research knowledge. Ultimately, ethical standards underpin the public's trust in research and its contribution to the society. So, stakeholders in setting best practices and ethical standards, as we have discussed, they are researchers, editors, reviewers, and publishers. Should we move ahead or should I explain this slide further?
No, ma'am, you can go ahead. These are all clear, I think, to me.
Okay. So, another scenario, a fellow PhD scholar in your management program at an Indian university informs you about an invitation they received to publish their research in a journal with a seemingly impressive title. However, upon closer inspection, the journal's website has grammatical errors and lacks information about the editorial board. So, which of the following resources can help you identify the potential predatory journals in India?
I
Yes.
think first, ma'am, A.
O. Web of
Yes.
Science citation reports, ICMR, basically related to medical field,
Yes.
and university ranking websites. So, which one?
I will go with A, ma'am, Committee on Publication Ethics.
Right. This is COPE, Committee on Publication Ethics. So the key initiatives of COPE are, do we need to discuss in detail?
We can move ahead,
Yes,
ma'am. Yes,
we
it's clear.
can move on.
Yes.
Right. So let us discuss the questions. So how can you as a PhD scholar utilize COPE resources to ensure your research adheres to ethical best practices? Yes. Please tell me. So you can utilize COPE guidelines and core practices and flowcharts as a framework for ethical decision making. Then you can have access to the case studies. Then you can participate in discussions to understand different perspectives on ethical issues by engaging in online forums. Then you can seek expert advice. You can consult COPE members or other ethical experts for guidance on specific concerns. So second is ethical issues in peer review. What are some potential ethical concerns in peer review process and how this can be addressed? Yes. So as we have discussed earlier, transparent peer review process, clear guidelines for reviewers, robust conflicts of interest, then training for reviewers and independent evaluation of reviews. These must be there. Similarly, WAME, that is World Association of Medical Editors. So should we come to the questions related to WAME? Yes?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So although WAME focuses on medical publications, can the ethical principles it promotes be applied to research in other disciplines, such as management? What do you say?
To some
Basically,
extent,
yes.
yes, ma'am,
Yes.
please go ahead.
Please tell me. Yes. Please continue.
Ma'am, I feel
As
to.
okay,
Sorry
go.
again, ma'am.
No, no, you go ahead, please.
Please go ahead, ma'am. Please.
I was just saying that WAME is made for the medical journals, so it should focus on that. I mean, concentration should not move here and there on different journals. That is, in my opinion, it should be like that.
But we are discussing from ethical viewpoints. We are here focusing our discussion on ethics.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes,
Ma'am,
ma'am.
I feel
question, ma'am?
only the subject has changed. We are talking here about medical, but all the guidelines and everything is same. So yes, to a certain extent, we can go ahead with WAME as well.
Right. This is what I was also trying to say, that WME principles can be applied to other disciplines, such as
Okay, ma'am.
reasoning. Core ethical values like honesty, integrity, and respect for IPR, that is intellectual property, are universal. While medical research has unique challenges, underlying principles of good research practice, these can be shared across other fields. Right? Okay. Now, the second question, the role of institutions. How can the research institutions contribute to promoting ethical research practices among their scholars? So they can provide comprehensive ethics training, establish clear ethical guidelines, implementing robust research integrity policies, encouraging open science practices, supporting mentorship and collaboration, and fostering a culture of ethical conduct. Now, another scenario. You are a reviewer for a peer-reviewed journal in the field of management. While reviewing a manuscript submitted by researchers in India, you suspect that some of the data presented may be fabricated. What is the most appropriate course of action according to COPE guidelines for dealing with suspected research misconduct?
Ma'am, I think
Publicly expose the authors, submit a formal complaint, ignore the suspicion, or contact the author directly? Yes.
option B, ma'am, maybe submit a formal complaint to the journal's editor-in-chief.
Okay. Others? Others also should respond?
B, ma'am.
Okay. So this
Contact.
is, yes, sir. Which option, sir?
Option
D.
D, and ask for the source.
Yes. You may ask for the source first. Right. And out of the given options, it is option B only.
Option D only.
Yes. B, submit a formal complaint. Right. Otherwise, we can give them a chance to put their viewpoint. Yes. Additional standards and setting initiatives. So we have ORI, that is Committee on Research Integrity. Then Singapore Statement on Research Integrity and Council of Science Editors, that is CSC. Right? So ORI, US Department of Health and Human Services Department, that promotes responsible conduct of research. So these are beyond COPE and WAME that you must be aware of. Second, Singapore Statement on Research Integrity, a joint statement by leading scientific organizations outlining core principles for responsible conduct of research. And CSC, it is dedicated to enhancing the effectiveness and ethical conduct of scientific publication. Then identifying predatory publishing practices. So predatory journals pose a significant threat to ethical research publications. They prioritize profit over quality and exploit researchers' eagerness to publish. These journals often lack rigorous peer review processes and editorial oversight, jeopardizing the quality and validity of published research. To avoid predatory journals, be cautious of unsolicited publication invitations, unrealistic promises of rapid publication, and exorbitant publication fees. Additionally, scrutinize the journal's website for unprofessional design, and a lack of transparency about its editorial board and peer review process. Right? So these are certain red flags you must focus on. So the questions: what criteria should you consider when evaluating the legitimacy and ethical practices of a journal for potential publication? Yes, please.
We check their impact factor and
Okay. But in previous discussion, one of us mentioned that this may be false. They may create false impact factors. Then we will be in the
yeah.
trap. So what should we do?
Yes, so we can check it, the site for the
Okay, but
for
sites are
evaluating
also fake or
UGC
hacked.
Care site, ma'am. We can check it on UGC Care site.
UGC website, right? And if you download list from Scoopers, I think link of journals are also given, or I have told you about SciMago, right?
SciMago you have just told.
Yes. So evaluating journals, that is criteria for legitimacy and ethical practices, that is general reputation. As you have mentioned, check impact factor, citation index, and reviews. Then peer review process, that this impact factor related information you can download from, I think, Web of Science. That is also the authentic one. Clarivate.
Okay, okay. Yeah,
Yes, Clarivate. Then peer review process, ensure a rigorous peer review is in place. Then verify the qualification and affiliations of editors in the editorial board. Then transparency, assess clarity of publication ethics, copyright policies, and fees. Then publisher information, check publisher's reputation and legitimacy. Then website quality, evaluate website design, content, and contact information. So, second question, how can researchers play a role in combating predatory publishing practices? Yes.
we should inform in UGC that if we find any predatory journal, we should inform there so that they can put them in the list of the clone journals.
Right. So what we can do is, we can go for thorough evaluation of the journal. Then we could share information about predatory publishers. Then we should adhere to integrity and publication ethics. Then we should prioritize publication in reputable journals. Then we should stay updated on predatory publishing trends. Then we should work with institutions and organizations to combat the issue through collaborations. Collaboration is always encouraged. Another important thing is you can upload the image that you need. You can upload the image, and then you can provide further details to the UGC as you complain whatever information, additional information they are asking for. Now, another scenario, you are a PhD scholar in management at Indian University. You are co-authoring a research paper with your professor. There is a disagreement between you and your professor regarding the authorship order. And this is a common practice, I hope. So you believe your contribution to the research merits first authorship while your professor insists on being the first author. I hope you will all agree that this is a common practice. So, what resource can be helpful in resolving authorship disputes ethically and according to best practices?
Maybe,
The
ma'am.
university plagiarism detection software, COP guidelines, social media forums, or the journal's editor-in-chief to whom you want to submit paper. Yes, please.
Option B, ma'am. Guidelines on authorship.
Right.
Yeah, B.
It is B only, COPE guidelines. Yes. Then conflicts of interest. So a PhD scholar in India researching marketing strategies for a local dairy company is offered a paid internship with the same company. The internship provides valuable data access but may influence the scholar's objectivity in analyzing the data. In this scenario, the scholar faces a potential data access issue, funding shortage, conflicts of interest, and ethical dilemma. So, according to you, what is the right option? Yes,
C,
please.
conflict of interest.
Yes. This is something we can use. If we understand the question, it's okay. Otherwise, we can focus on the topic we are going to discuss. We have just started this topic. This can be another strategy. Okay. So what is the concept of conflicts of interest that we all are, I think, aware of? Conflicts of interest. So it occurs when a researcher's personal or professional ties could potentially bias their research findings. This could include financial ties to a company whose product is being studied, personal relationships with the study participants, or a desire for career advancement related to research topic. Transparency in disclosing potential conflicts allows editors, reviewers, and readers to assess the research objectivity. So, unethical sponsorship in India, ethical labs, sponsorship concerns in an Indian research project. So, a researcher in India studying the effectiveness of a new drug received significant funding from the pharmaceutical company developing the drug. The researcher failed to disclose this conflict, raising concerns about potential bias in the study design and interpretation of results. So, what are the potential consequences of undisclosed sponsorship in research, particularly in developing countries like India? Yes, please. Have you understood the case? Should I show it again? Yes. Unethical sponsorship. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
And this is the question one. Yes, please. Just try. So, first is biased research outcomes, because financial incentives may influence the researcher to produce results favorable to the sponsor, compromising the integrity of the research. Second, erosion of public interest. Third, legal and ethical repercussions. And fourth, impact on public health. Leading research findings can lead to ineffective or harmful treatments, jeopardizing public health. Second question, how can research institutions and governing bodies in India create a more transparent and ethical research environment to address the issue of undisclosed sponsorship? Answer lies in the question itself. Disclosure policies should be made
Yes, exactly, ma'am.
mandatory. So, mandatory disclosure policies. Second, independent review boards. So, establishing ethical review boards with the power to oversee research projects and ensure transparency. Then, public access to research data. Then, various educational programs. And then, collaboration with industry. So, how we can manage conflicts of interest? So several strategies can be employed to manage conflicts of interest, such as disclosure allows editors and reviewers to assess the potential for bias. In case of significant conflicts, researchers may need to step aside from the research or publication process. Additionally, utilizing blinded review processes where the reviewer identifies are unknown to authors. Reviewers' identities are unknown to authors and can help mitigate the influence of conflicts on the review outcomes. Right? So, disclosure, recusal, and blind review can be some of the strategies. We can add more to this. So, the
Ma'am,
question,
I have a
yes, please.
question. Is
Yes.
that blind review thing, does it work? Like, should we do that? Should we go for that blind review part?
Yes, what do you, are you clear about what we mean by blind review?
No, ma'am. Very new for me.
Okay. Basically, blind review means we hide the information
Okay.
from both the parties, reviewee and the reviewer.
Okay.
Reviewer does not know who is the reviewer,
Mm-hmm.
and reviewer does not know who is the review. Like if I submit a paper to a journal, journal will hide my information when it will send my manuscript to reviewers for evaluation.
Okay.
So reviewer and the author, they remain unknown
To each other so that there is no conflict. Okay, got it, ma'am.
Yes,
Thank
this
you.
is the meaning of blind review in research,
Thank you.
right? Hiding information. That will add quality because if someone is known to me, I may get biased. Oh, I know him or her. I should give positive review remarks despite low quality.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, again, it will lead to unethical practices in the long run.
Yes.
So the questions, how can research institutions implement policies to encourage responsible disclosure of conflicts of interest? Yes, managing conflicts questions.
Madam, in most of the cases, the onus lies with the researcher. In case of any conflict, then he is supposed to the right. The issue is usually supposed to clarify. Am I correct?
Yes, you are
So
right.
he has to give disclaimer. He has to give disclaimer of all possible situations, and
Very right.
where he owns the responsibility, and which is beyond his responsibility limits. Right?
Very right, sir. Very right. I agree
Yeah.
to you. Okay. The second question, what are the potential challenges researchers might face when disclosing conflicts of interest and how can these be overcome? Yes. Please tell me.
Sometimes it may be. Sometimes it may be the data may be available somewhere and that person may come up suddenly. That might be the case.
Okay.
Sometimes it may be done with some ulterior type of motives also. So as to
Okay.
extract some money to defame, something like that. These are the two potential challenges which are at the start may
We
not be
overcome
aware.
these things.
Sometimes it may go to the
Right.
court, but then you have to find out the right solution because these are the problems which are not identifiable at the start, may erupt at the later stage. Mm.
Okay. Thank you so much. I agree to you. Okay. Now, another scenario. A professor at a management institute in India is reviewing a research paper submitted by a former student who is now working for a competitor of the professor's consulting firm. To avoid a conflict of interest, the professor should do what? Decline to review, delegate, disclose, or all of this. What should professor do?
As a safe practice, it should be done by somebody else. So delegate to review to somebody else.
Okay.
That is B.
Okay.
Maybe all of the above.
Okay. Anything else? I think he should simply decline. This is what professor can do. He may not be having the authority to delegate. And it may
Yeah,
be
agree.
in
So
conflict
decline
with
is
the
the right answer,
policies
right?
of the
Agree.
journal.
Yeah. Yeah. So delegation may be done by the journal editor, but he can decline
Agreed?
definitely.
So it should be
Yes.
A. We can simply deny.
Yes, I agree.
We can decline. And there's no need to disclose to editor. Why should we? So what are the consequences of unmanaged conflicts? I think we got now the understanding of these, like retraction of publications, loss of funding, legal issues, and erosion of public trust. Should we go for detail or should we move further?
We can go ahead.
Should we move further?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Yes. Please respond.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the Research Ethics Committee at an Indian university is investigating a case where a professor is accused of pressurizing PhD students to co-author research papers with them, even if the student's contribution was minimal. So the scenario exemplifies conflict of interest related to authorship, funding, data ownership, or authorship and student supervision. Yes.
It is related
What do you
with
say?
majority. It is D.
Which one?
D, last one. Authorship and
Last
student
one.
supervision.
Right,
Yeah.
right. I agree. This is last one. Now, a case. Yes. Authorship, conflict, and questions of bias. A dispute arose in India when a co-author was excluded from a prestigious publication despite significant contributions to research. The excluded co-author alleged that the lead researcher had a financial conflict of interest with a company mentioned favorably in the paper, raising concerns about potential bias in authorship, attribution, and study conclusions. So what are the ethical implications of excluding a co-author? And how can academic institutions and journals strengthen their policies and procedures to prevent such situations? Yes.
Here the co-author may get aggrieved. He may get aggrieved, the co-author, and he may legally he may sue, and he may not be agreeing to the findings and conclusion of the research.
And ma'am, it may lead to deviation from good research practices, which we talk about.
Right, right. Okay. So, conflicts of interest are an inherent part of the research landscape. However, researchers, editors, reviewers, publishers all play a vital role in managing these conflicts responsibly. By prioritizing transparency and upholding ethical principles, we can ensure that research remains objective, trustworthy, and contributes to progress in management and beyond. So, ethical research for better future can be there. So, we should focus on this aspect, conducting research ethically. Okay. Let us move on to publication misconduct, the next concept. Okay. So, as far as the definition of publication misconduct is concerned, how can we define this? It encompasses a range of unethical behaviors that compromise the credibility of research findings and scholarly publications. These include fabricating data, falsifying results, and plagiarizing the work of others, attributing authorship inappropriately, and publishing duplicate research without proper disclosure. Such misconduct erodes trust in the research community and hinders scientific progress. So what are the problems leading to unethical behavior? This I think we have already discussed earlier, that there is a pressure to publish, there is lack of awareness sometimes, and there is a competition for funding, and most important, we are all doing this for career advancement. As ma'am has mentioned, university closely monitors the performance, like academic, we all have three types of roles to play: academic, administrative, and research. So university closely monitors our performance on these parameters for career advancement, and research is also one of the major aspects. So ethical behavior fosters trust. Ethical research publications are the cornerstones of building trust, not only within the research community but also within the public at large. By adhering to ethical principles, researchers create an environment where collaboration can flourish based on transparency of methods and findings. This transparency allows for critical review, replication, and ultimately the advancement of reliable knowledge. Furthermore, ethical research ensures that research findings are credible and can be used to inform policies, develop solutions, and contribute to positive societal change. When research is conducted unethically, it undermines the entire research enterprise and hinders progress in all disciplines. So, types of publication misconduct. Some of us might be wondering that we are using these terms FFP again and again, but what is the basic meaning of these? So, publication misconduct manifests in various forms. Fabrication involves inventing data or research results entirely. Falsification refers to manipulating existing data or altering results to support a predetermined conclusion. Plagiarism is copying the intellectual work of others, including text, ideas, or data without proper attribution. Inappropriate authorship involves including individuals who did not make significant contributions to the research as authors or excluding deserving authors. Duplicate publication refers to publishing the same research findings in multiple journals without proper disclosure, which can artificially inflate citation counts and misrepresent the novelty of the research. Understanding these different forms of misconduct is essential for recognizing unethical practices and avoiding engagement in such behavior yourselves. I hope now I am clear, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So let us discuss this. A renowned management researcher in India discovers that a colleague has fabricated data in a published journal article. The most ethical course of action for the researcher would be to ignore, publicly criticize, report, or rewrite colleague's article. What should he do? Yes, please.
C.
it
Report the
is C.
misconduct to the
It has to be
journal.
C.
Yes.
It should be
C.
C.
Yeah, report the misconduct.
Report the misconduct. To whom?
To the journal, respective journal.
Okay. Report the misconduct. That is option C.
C. Yeah.
Right. Report the misconduct. Right. Agreed. Okay. Then what we can discuss here is violation of publication ethics, authorship, and contributorship. Okay. So a PhD scholar in India submits a research paper to a management journal for publication. The paper includes significant contributions from her research assistant who helped collect and analyze data. However, the scholar does not include the research assistant as a co-author. In this scenario, the PhD scholar has violated which ethical principle? Yes.
B.
B.
Yes, authorship misrepresentation.
Right. Authorship misrepresentation. So this is the next concept. I hope you have heard about ghost authorship. What is
Yes.
this?
Somebody is writing and the other fellow is putting his name.
Yeah,
Right.
somebody is writing on behalf
Writing.
of someone.
Right. Ghost authorship. Again, a malpractice. So, excluding individuals who made significant contributions from the authors list. And guest authorship, including individuals who did not contribute. So, ghost is excluding the person. Guest is including who have not made any contribution. Gift, adding based on personal connections. And order disputes, disagreement about the authorship. I think these are clear to all. Types of unethical authorship practices. Very much in practice.
Yes, ma'am.
All are clear? Ghost and guest and gift. Okay. So the role of contributorship statements. These disclose the specific contributions of each author to a research project, bring transparency, and journal also requires such statements to promote responsible authorship practices. Now, a professor at a management institute in India pressurizes a PhD student to include the professor's name. Okay. So, and professor has not contributed. So, this action of professor violates which ethical principle? I think this is clear, very much clear. And this is again a malpractice and a common practice. Yes, which one?
Ideally, it should be conflict of interest.
Yes, this is B, conflict of interest. So what can be the strategies to ensure ethical authorship? We should establish a clear authorship criteria, communicate and negotiate authorship expectations openly, utilize statements to document individual contributions, and acknowledge and address potential authorship disputes constructively. And what can be the consequences? Retractions of publications, loss of funding, damage to reputation, and erosion of public interest. Okay. Next is identification of publication misconduct, complaints, and appeals. A PhD scholar receives an email from an unfamiliar journal promising rapid publication of their management research. The email contains grammatical errors and does not mention a peer review process. What is the most likely scenario? Yes, please. What is
C.
the correct answer? C?
Yes.
Yes, very right. It is likely from a predatory publisher. We have already discussed. Right. So, this we have discussed. Types of publication misconduct: fabrication, falsification, plagiarism, inappropriate, and duplicate. I think this is clear to all.
Yes,
We have
ma'am.
already discussed this slide. Then, how to identify potential misconduct? So, there are certain signs that you need to recognize, like inconsistency in data or methodology, suspicious authorship practices, similarity to published work, and we can utilize plagiarism detection software. Like most of the organizations prefer which software to detect plagiarism and which is most trustworthy? Most of the universities prefer which software?
It may be Turnitin or one more is there. Forgot that name. But Turnitin is also
Yes.
used.
Turnitin is used and only institution can get it. Is it?
Yeah.
We individuals cannot. Okay. Then retractions by the same author. Right? Okay. A management researcher in India suspects data fabrication in a recently published article. What is the most appropriate initial action? Yes.
Again, see here.
Right, this is C here. Why it is important to report the misconduct? To uphold research integrity, which is a shared responsibility of all of us. And what is the process of reporting misconduct? Most of the universities and journals have established procedure for handling allegations of misconduct. And we should be prepared to provide specific details and evidence. See, in such cases, evidence is mandatory. So we need to have proper evidence. So universities in India can play a crucial role in promoting ethical research practices. What is an effective approach, according to you? I think one of you have suggested also. You know the answer.
B, offering workshop and resources to educate researchers.
Yes, very right. Offering workshops and resources to educate researchers on publication ethics. Okay. Appealing decisions related to misconduct allegations. So those who have been accused, researchers, those who have been accused of misconduct, they may have the right to appeal a decision made by a journal editor or institution. They are given a chance to put their viewpoint. And specific procedure for appeals will vary depending on journal or institution involved, and consult the relevant policies and procedures to understand the appeal process and deadlines. That is why evidence is also required. Now, a PhD scholar in India faces a disagreement with co-author regarding authorship order in management research paper. What is the best course of action, according to you?
Madam,
Yes.
can you repeat the question?
A PhD scholar in India faces a disagreement with the co-author regarding authorship order in a management research paper. What is the best course of action? Submit the paper, withdraw from collaboration, attempt to resolve the disagreement through communication, open communication and negotiation, and report the co-author to the university. Submit, withdraw, resolve, or report.
B,
Withdraw.
I'm
Anyone
confused
else?
between option B and option C, ma'am. C looks more.
Yes,
It is
option
C.
C is the
Full
correct
C.
answer. We should attempt to resolve the disagreement. Otherwise, all the efforts that you have been put in while conducting research and writing and reaching the stage for publication will be a waste. So, upholding research integrity. So, by understanding and upholding ethical principles related to publication misconduct, you contribute to a trustworthy research environment, right? Now, predatory publishers and journals. This we have been discussing, I think, since beginning today. But let us review again. So, a PhD scholar in marketing receives an email from a publisher offering rapid publication of their research in an international journal of management. The email contains grammatical errors and doesn't mention peer review process. What is the most likely sign that it could be a predatory publisher? International management word, rapid publication process, grammatical errors in mail, or journal is published in English language. Yes, according to you?
C, the email contains grammatical errors.
Yes. You are talking about academic writing and you cannot write even a single simple email. How this could be possible? Okay. Now, predatory publishers and journals. So, predatory publishers and journals misrepresent themselves as legitimate scholarly outlets, but lack the rigorous editorial review process found in reputable journals. Their primary goal is often to generate profit by charging author publication fees, regardless of the research quality. I hope we all agree to this. Yes? Okay. Then what are the characteristics or the red flags to identify? lack of transparency on editorial board members, aggressive solicitation emails, poor quality website design and content with grammatical errors, indexing in unrecognized or illegitimate database. You see universities emphasizing only Scopus, say, for example, and you can find lots of indexing except Scopus. Or another malpractice is journal might have been in Scopus for some particular years, say maybe up to 2021. But on their website, they are still mentioning it is in Scopus, listed in Scopus. So that is why sometimes the list of journals which are in Scopus takes times to upload their data. So I always request you to go to Scopus website. Make your account on Scopus website, and whenever you want to submit the journal, the article, go through the Scopus website and check whether the journal is listed at present in it or not. I hope you all have the link of Scopus, or should I share? You should have your account in Scopus as well as in Elsevier. Do you know the website, or should I share? Very simple, scopus.com. Let me share in the chat window if you do not know. So I always recommend whenever you want to submit an article, please go through this website first, www.scopus.com. Right? It is free of cost if you make an account for limited access, or you can make it on Elsevier. That is the best source for UGC Care B, category B. Right? Okay. So what are the consequences of publishing in predatory? Damage to academic reputation, wastage of time and resources spent in publication, difficulty getting published in reputable journals, and potential retraction of research. And what could be the strategies to identify? Consult established journal citation reports like Web of Science or Scopus. Check the journal website for information about editorial board, peer review process, and indexing. Look for reviews and evaluations of journal from reputable sources, and be cautious of journals with overly broad scopes, right? Okay. So what are the questions that you need to consider when evaluating a journal? So you can check the history of the journal, and you can check the editorial board whether it recognizes experts in the field. They may have some renowned persons, but they may not be from that particular field to which journal belongs. There is a mismatch. Is the peer review process clearly explained? Is the journal indexed in recognized database? Or are the articles published in journals cited by other scholars in your field? That is important. Check the citations. Who is citing? Publishing with integrity. So by understanding predatory publishing practices and selecting reputable journals for your research, you contribute to the integrity of scholarly communication in management. So you should publish your work in high quality journals to enhance your credibility as a researcher and increase the impact of your findings. Right? So a PhD candidate discovers a journal targeting management research in India that exhibits several signs of being predatory. What is the most responsible course of action? Yes. Submit a fabricated research paper to expose the journal's practices. Ignore the journal and continue. Publicly criticize or report the journal to the relevant authority. Yes, please.
B.
B. Anyone else?
It has to be B. You have to best way is to ignore it.
Ignore it and continue.
Maybe
Don't-
report
don't-
the
don't
journal to a
submit it.
relevant.
You find out, research it out. If it is predatory, then don't go after it.
We can prevent ourselves this way, but what about others?
We
They
can
will be-
report the journal to a relevant authority. If
Better is to report so that we can safeguard not only ourselves but others also. Like Ma'am Agarwal is saying, she is very new and she may not be aware of even such things that are happening in the society.
Madam, in
Yes, we
this
should
case,
support.
I got disagreement. Every researcher has to learn and then get educated, which is predatory, and then better. That is the way, right way. Because how
Okay.
much you are going to contact somebody and making mistake, that is where should be learned by himself or herself only.
See, we have been talking about ethics. We have been talking
Moral
about,
responsibility, maybe it could be a moral responsibility
we are
to make others aware about it.
we are talking about society also. Suppose, see how we get the list of cloned journals or predatory journals. Someone must have reported, and we are getting benefited.
We can always validate through reputed Scopus or Web of Science. So if it
Yes,
is not there, then it is predatory. As simple as that.
yes. This is what we have been emphasizing. We should check the right source. And it is our moral duty to report if we come across any such malpractice. Another important thing is, suppose we get trapped in any predatory or cloned journal, but once our work gets published, whether it is predatory or cloned, irrespective of the quality of the work or the efforts we have been put in, we can never get it published again.
Yeah, I agree.
You agree? Okay. So these are basically the main resources that I have referred to for making the session. Again, the website of COPE, that is Publication Ethics. Then WCRIF, that is World Conference. And then US Office on Research Integrity, that is ORI.HHS. And Think, Check, Submit. This is important. And then Cable's Blacklist. Right? Okay. So any queries you have, you can ask. You can share your feedback. Any other topic you would like for research or other sessions you can suggest? We can come across such topics and we can go again. We can have other sessions. Because this paper also has 6 units and we have covered 2 units in 2 days. And you see how much efforts we have been put in today because it has 7 parts. But it is again my moral duty to provide information to you all on this particular unit, as these are related concepts. Yes, please. You can suggest some topics that you would like to have sessions in future, maybe other units, remaining units, or maybe some other new sessions, or any general feedback, as you say. Or any query you have, please share.
Viraj,
Dr. Monika, madam, you have taken the session so wonderfully, and it was very good sessions. All the PPT, all the slides were so informative, and especially the case studies, the caselets which you have taken up in the class, they were very interesting to understand and to answer, and that actually relate us with the theory and the practical. So, madam, we are very fortunate and we are very thankful that you have given spare so much of time to make us understand all the difficult concepts. And definitely our knowledge have enriched and we are going to take it future. We will apply in our day-to-day professional world and let's see. Hope that you will come again with some new topics. This, as you said, that we have to suggest one topic for future FDP. One can be as how to do the analysis in SPSS. So if that can be taken up, because it will be more technical, because the tools has to be applied in the workshop. So if that can be taken up in future, it will be very beneficial for us.
Which tool you are basically looking for, or set of tools? You may suggest maybe more topics,
Yes.
maybe more than one.
Yes. More than one, I'll just think and let you know, madam.
And which particular tools you are looking for, so that we can have session on, because we know all of us know that we have univariate, bivariate, and multivariate. So all tools cannot be discussed in 1 or 2 days. If you are focusing on few, we can plan, or we can have overview of all. Either we can have few in detail or overview of all.
Just the overview, madam. What are the different various tools which are there and which can be helpful while writing the papers and while analyzing the data? So
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, that we can do. Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much.